Hello, welcome to Forest Focus. I think the last two times I've done this, I've come in with some kind of fired up, slightly sweary intro, which I got an email complaining about. I don't know what to say tonight. I don't know, numbed by it all. Anyway, Forest are drawn 0-0 with Wolves. I should probably say that. And we're going to chat about it and what we make of it, how we're feeling, and where we go. So let's introduce the panel. Chris Aylmer, good evening.
Hey, how's it going? Awful result. I'm sure we'll talk about the game and some of the misses and some of the choices and the general stuff, but just a really, really bad result. You have to win that game at home if you're in a relegation battle. You just have to. So yeah, really, really angry. Going to be a little bit annoyed on this podcast, but hopefully there'll be something to look after at the end of the show.
Oh, good. You covered off the annoyed corner. Sam Collins, how are you?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I think I've got to say I'm in a similar place to Chris after that. I just shocked that we've just witnessed such an uninspiring performance in such a big game. And yeah, I think Chris is right. It's a massive chance gone now, and I really fear for us a little bit now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we have to. I see Opta have bumped our odds up to 1 in 5, which is mental to me. It feels less than 50-50 right now. I know we've got that 3 points, but like you say, Chris, just kick us off. We had to win that game. We'll discuss why we didn't, but the bottom line is we failed. I mean, it's another opportunity just blown by this group, this manager, whoever you blame. Another failure.
Wolves are shocking. They're a shocking team. They were awful from start to finish. They actually nearly won it at the end with that big chance, which is quite unbelievable. But they're really, really poor. Their fans will know that. The whole league knows that. They might not get to the 11-point mark. They're at 9 now. And they were really poor today. And we didn't capitalize at all. The entire team, I felt like, just strolled through that game. And by the time we got to 20, 25 minutes and we'd missed a lot of big chances, I thought, right, is this what it's going to be for the whole game? And if I'm honest, there's just a catalogue of choices that have sort of happened the last month and a half that have really annoyed me. You know, we didn't get that striker signing in early. We didn't get a centre back to cover Murillo if he got injured, or Milenkovic if he got injured, and lo and behold, Murillo gets injured, and we had Morato, who was fine today, by the way. But like, Wolves were never going to score unless we marauded forward and left gaping holes in the back like we nearly did at the end. But in general, I blame a lot of people for today, and just the finishing was the number one thing. Sam said before we jumped on here, the final ball, dreadful. And just, some of the finishing, just lackadaisical. No one wanted to shoot. They kept wanting to pass it around like Arsenal of the 2000 teens, where they would never score and pass around forever. I'm just exhausted by this team. And this game is just a big, big miss now. That's a massive missed target for us. And we'll talk about the fixtures we have coming up because they're not great. And I'm just absolutely fuming at the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think every player's had a shot apart from Ortega and possibly Sangare tonight. And, you know, Milenkovic's shot and Aylmer's shot are just ridiculous. And we'll touch on some of how it just got so desperate and so poor. Just talk us through, Sam, what you made of it, how it unravelled, what went on.
I think on another day, as poor as it was, Forest do win by a couple of goals. But that's not the point here. I think I'm just in awe, really, as I've said, of how just uninspiring Forest was tonight. I just think there's only 1 or 2 players, like Chris said, that like looked up for it in such a big game. And I'll get on to Sean Dyche in a minute because I've critiqued these players a lot, and I think that's fair over Sean Dyche in these last few months. But I think he deserves a lot of the blame tonight. I do. In such a big game for him as well. I'm so surprised by some of his decisions. But I think probably our best 2 players this season by quite some way, Anderson and Williams, the only players where you could say, yeah, they looked up for it tonight. They looked like they wanted to win the game and they were everywhere on the pitch. Yes, Anderson made quite a lot of mistakes in possession at times, but he was trying things. He was always wanting to get on the ball. Williams, the same at left back, one of our most dangerous looking players, which can't be right, surely. So yeah, disappointed, just really disappointed. And as I said, I fear for us. And it was only a week ago that I was on there with Temps on the transfer window show. And, you know, I was saying to him, I think we're not much better than West Ham and he was saying, yeah, it's true, Sam, but I think there's 6 points are clear from us. And I said, I know, but Forest can easily get dragged down into it. And now a week later, we're 1 point off West Ham. And I said they're not out of it. And that brings Forest into it, especially with Leeds beating us, obviously, last week. So, yeah, I've got big concerns for the club at the moment. And I just hope we can get ourselves out of this position.
Yeah, I think I'd probably throw Gibbs White into that bracket as well, but I thought he made some awful decisions as well tonight. But he looked so up for it that I thought he might be running the team at one point, which is perhaps another thing to discuss. Just expand on why you're so disappointed in Sean Dyche, Sam.
I just couldn't believe some of the decisions I was seeing, Matt. I mean, Hutchinson had a really poor night tonight, really poor. Not just look at 2 corners, obviously in a row that went out of play. I thought in the first half he made a lot of mistakes on the ball, and he's a young lad and he's had a good, he's had a decent start to his Forest career. It's got better, but I thought tonight, I think he was lucky to see. He played 4 games, didn't he? I think Hutchinson, which I'm just shocked by, because I know Mackey's a different kind of player, but I think he's got better recently, and surely that's the game where you bring him on. I think he took the wrong winger off, even though again Hudson-Odoi was poor tonight with some of his final things. But the main thing for me, Matt, was I couldn't believe we're playing with 2 sitters tonight. I don't know if Chris agrees on this, but against Wolves, where you've got all of the possession and they're camped in, and things need to be quick and moving them around, because it was obvious our game plan tonight was to get the ball to the wingers and cross the ball in. But Wolves probably wanted that. They defended the box really well, to give credit to them. I thought that's what they were good at tonight. And to beat a low block like that, surely the best thing to do is to move the ball from side to side as quick as possible to open things up. But it just didn't look like that was a plan. You had Sangare and Anderson in really similar positions. Gibbs White on his own in the 10. When it got to the right-hand side, it looked like Aylmer and Hutchinson didn't have really any pass, because Anderson and Sangare are both more to the left. It was really weird, I thought, in that sense as well. But I just couldn't believe Sangare stayed on that. I couldn't believe someone like a Dominguez didn't come on for him early on to try and break their low block, an attacking-minded player. I couldn't believe it didn't go 2 up front with even Taiwo at the end. I don't know why Luca was brought off. Surely you can bring Gibbs White to the right and keep Luca on the pitch. I know he didn't have the best of games, but he didn't have much service. So yeah, some 3 or 4 really questionable decisions tonight, I thought, and I don't think he's helped himself out there at all with some of the decisions he made.
We're 3 points clear of West Ham, by the way. Not
is it 3?
1.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I was going to yeah. If they beat Man United, didn't they, other than the late goal, it would be 1 point. That's what I was making. Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand how. Where's McAtee and Taiwo? Like, have someone abducted them and they're just names on the team sheet? I don't understand how they didn't come on. I suppose, Chris, 2 things can be true. The players we should have scored 3 or 4 goals. That 6v1 miss is just ridiculous. That's one. And Morato should score. But also you can look at the manager. Where are you at on players failing versus manager failing, or is just everyone failed?
First half, I would say players failed because the manager set up well. We created loads of chances. We were completely on top and dominant. Second half, manager failed. As Sam said, some of the decisions he made. I know Hudson-Odoi was carrying something maybe a little bit. Maybe his shoulder was sore or whatever, but he was definitely one of our best outlets, and Sam's Roy Hutchinson wasn't playing well. It was very, as you said at the beginning, Matt, before we even started, this is very like for like. It just very uninspiring. The word we've used 3 or 4 times today now, and I felt like second half. Yeah, he was at fault for the second half. First half was the player, but you know what? I think Mark touches on this when he's on this podcast loads, and he always says, that's what Dyche is paid to do. He's paid to make these players take it up another level. And I think Gibbs White's always sort of got that game face on when he's playing, but Dyche isn't just paid to make substitutes and do strategy and tactics. He's paid to manage, and that's meant to be the best aspect of his game. And in the last 3 games, I mean, obviously the Palace game was unfortunate because of the red card, but the last 3 games we should be winning one of them minimum. I think we were probably looking at them trying to get 3 points from 2 of them, let alone one of them. And we've let them slip through our fingers, and that always stops with Dyche. The book always stops with Dyche, and you can spin it whatever way you want. I personally think he's done a reasonable job since he's come in. We were on sort of 5 points at the bottom of the league, 19, but that's been and gone. We've had 2 or 3 months now, and we have to stay up. We have to survive. And for me, it always ends with the manager. So overall, you have to put the blame on the manager because he hasn't got the points the last few games. But today specifically, first half players, second half Dyche.
So what do you want to happen with Dyche, Chris?
Me, I don't personally believe that there will be better options out there at this stage in the season. I think that we kind of have to ride it out, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I think you kind of have to ride it out. Alternatively, the other option is, you get rid of him and you hope that a new manager bounce, whoever it is, the caretaker, whoever decides to shine their shoes and walk in the door and take the job that could, end in a titanic disaster or be a huge success. Whoever it is comes in and gives you that lift. And I'll be honest with you, I'm lost for answers. I think I always have the answers all the time. I think I do. And I just don't have them anymore. I was talking to a Leeds fan today and a West Ham fan, almost in tandem, chatting to two guys, one on the phone, and we're all exhausted by this relegation battle. We're just exhausted by it. It's been 3 seasons of this. Leeds have had this before as well. So have we. And I'm exhausted. And none of us have the answers to our club's problems. Leeds are probably a little bit happier. But with me, I don't have the answers anymore. I don't know if Dyche should go or not. I'm kind of apathetic. I just want to see something happen where we manage to pull out a win, because we only need 4 more wins and we'll probably stay up. So is Dyche going to be able to get those 4 wins till the end of the season? He couldn't today, or someone else. I don't know what the answer is. Personally, I'd see it through. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either. I mean, you sit here now and you wonder where we're going to get more wins from. Because I really thought we'd win tonight, and we should have won tonight, but I don't know. I'll ask you about Dyche in a minute, Sam. Are the players sat in the dressing room after that looking at themselves? I assume the room's dead. What's happening in there right now, do you think?
I'd say, yeah. I'd say it's very quiet in there and everyone's a bit deflated. But they'll have to get themselves back up, because obviously there's massive games coming up. But I think they'll be blaming themselves. I think there'll be probably an honest chat in there, hopefully anyway. We've not done enough tonight, but in a sense they have as well. They've had the chances, like Chris said, some of the finishing on the final pass or cross was so poor. I just thought so many times tonight Forest tempo could have been upped. The intensity which wasn't there for me in such a big game. And this issue I have with Dyche, Matt. I think I wouldn't be sacking Sean Dyche yet. That's my opinion. But I am a lot more confident when Forest play against one of the big boys, genuinely, at home, than a team like a Wolves or a Burnley or a Palace or someone like that. Because Sean Dyche's football is perfect for when you're the team that's defending, for when you need energy off the ball. But when suddenly Forest have loads of the possession and they have to create things and they have to do things with intensity on the ball and find ways and find patterns of play, I think we really struggle under Sean Dyche. There's been so many examples of it. And tonight was a night like that. And I knew if Forest were to win tonight, it would be a 1-0 or, a 2-1, but not many clear-cut chances. And that's what it turned out to be, 0-0. And I think the players will be blaming themselves, but I just think this could continue to happen. And when you're in a relegation battle, you need to beat these teams around you, like Chris has said. And it's all well and good beating Liverpool away, fantastic result. Beating Spurs at home comfortably, brilliant result. Drawing at home to Arsenal, really good performance and result. But when you come against the teams like Wolves at home, it's a must win. It really is. And I think under this manager, it might continue to be like that, where we struggle to get results.
What was the plan, Sam? When you're watching it, what was the plan beyond get it to Hutchinson, get it to Hudson-Odoi, get a cross in? Was there more to it that you were seeing or not?
This is the thing, Matt. I don't know. I don't know what the plan was, and I've said that quite a lot of times now. When we have a lot of the ball, when we're in a low block or a mid block, I know what the plan is. It's often counter attacking. It works really well and press and be aggressive. But today, I don't really know, Matt. It just seemed like it was just get the ball to the wingers, and look for an overlap or look for an underlap or third option, cross the ball in and hope for Luca. And so many crosses from Hutchinson tonight were just way off. Not good service at all for Luca. I felt for him. But yeah, I don't know, Matt. I don't really know what the plan was tonight. I just thought it just looked a little bit lethargic and a little bit off the cuff for me, which is never a good thing.
Yes, that was one of the things it felt to me like they're just playing on vibes a bit too much, Chris. I don't know. They didn't want to pass it to Luca towards the end of the game as well, did they? I didn't think they did.
No, not at all. I mean, I think Gibbs White plays better when he's off the cuff, and I think sometimes when Aina, Gibbs White, Hutchinson, even Anderson a little bit, they have interchanges. They're probably a bit better when they're a little bit off the cuff. But other than that, yeah, we were just like void of any idea and bereft of any ideas of how to break down a really shocking Wolves side. So yeah, I don't know the Luca stuff. I mean, he missed 2 or 3 really good chances. They put 2 or 3 really good balls in the box, and he didn't get his head near them that first half. And this is a 6'7" guy that you're looking forward to. And to be fair, he scored a good goal on Friday, but Leeds' foot was off the pedal at that stage. I just I think that it got to a point. There was one point in the second half, I messaged you at half time, Matt, where Hudson-Odoi picked up a great crossfield ball from Gibbs White, opening up the play. And usually he either cuts in and has a bang, or he would pop that across to someone like Wood to tap in or whatever. And he just rolled it into Sa's arms. And I thought, and he did that a few times actually tonight. And I just thought, Luca was there. He could have stuck it in back post, but he doesn't trust him anymore. And that was when that started to happen a bit more. And Luca just wasn't in the right place at the right time. There was another chance second half where I think someone, Morato, got his head across it. And look, to be fair, Luca would have never got there, but he wasn't even stretching for it. And I'm just kind of like, you're not in the right place. And I think the players fed off that after a while. And then we all ran out of ideas. And the crowd got bored and it got tense. And it was just a tired game. And I think, you know, I have a question for you actually, Matt. Do you think Dyche goes? Do you think he gets sacked or not? Do you want him to? Do you think he does? Because this is our last chance for that to happen. We should, if we're going to do it in January, we basically have the Fenerbahce game in a week, and then we've Liverpool, so a week and a half. There'll be no more chances to sack the manager after this. So, do you think he goes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he goes or not. I mean, Marinakis stay till the end, which is always which maybe he leaves his seat when he's going to sack a manager the last few times. I don't know. I think I imagine they've been feeling out other options. You know, I'm sure they have. Obviously, if they can find someone who will do a passable job and bring a boost in for a couple of weeks, I'm sure they do it. So it always depends on that. I mean, people are saying De Zerbi in the chat. I don't think De Zerbi would take it. I think De Zerbi's a manager.
Delusional. Sorry, he's not going to take the job. But anyway, yeah, go on.
Well, he might take it in the summer. It's just trying to find someone who take it now. I mean, like, the only sort of name I could think of that's realistic is Vita Pereira. But this is going into the weeds. He's a Mendes client, and I don't know what the relationship is like there. So I don't know. I feel just numb to it all. I can't. Someone says say yes, he goes. I don't know. Marinakis. The thing about Marinakis, he has given managers a lot of kind of rope at times.
Cooper.
He did, but the fans backed Cooper, and he didn't because the fans hated him.
Nuno had a bit of a run that first half season he had where we were losing a lot of games. It was after he won the first
quite well,
two.
I thought we were playing quite well. I thought we were good season under Nuno. Yeah,
but Marinakis goes by results, and he still kept them, and he did the right thing. It worked out. So yeah, he does. He isn't trigger happy as most people would think. But I just think this is the last chance. So in my head, I'm kind of trying to figure out. Like, I don't think we should get rid of him at this stage. I think we just have to sit in the mud. But do I think we get rid of him? I don't know. Like he won't get another chance to do it. So there'll be no more conversation about it because it won't happen after this. You
need someone who can just come in and win 2 or 3 games. And I don't know. It's really hard. The thing that's in the back of my head is, like Sam says, we could play Liverpool and grind out a 1-0 because we're slightly better in those games. When every game where we played a bottom half team, since his early matches, we've got worse and worse and worse. I know the results are decent recently until the last 2 games, but all the indicators and everything your eyes tell you is we're a bit rubbish, and you know that's problematic. People in the chat, Sam, are saying Warren Joyce, Andy Reid. You've played under Warren Joyce. If he wants it, what would you say to that?
Well, I never thought of answering that. Yeah, I think Warren. I think with Sean Dyche quickly is if you're going to replace Sean Dyche, are you not looking for a tactician? Because isn't Sean Dyche, as Chris said, mainly known for his man management and his motivational skills rather than his football brain? Do you know what I mean? So
if that's his skill and he's not showing it,
no,
it's a bit problematic, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. I know. Warren Joyce is similar. He has his team set up really well out of possession. He's a motivator, you know, not really he leaves the assistant manager to do his tactical work. That makes sense. He doesn't really specialise in that. He's got a good football brain. But my point is, he'd be coming in, if you're getting Warren Joyce, and he'd be coming in to motivate the players and get hold of the players. Sort of like when there was talk of Roy Keane going into Man United, that's probably the best picture I can paint there. That's what Warren Joyce would be doing to Forest. I don't know.
Class.
I'm sure Warren. Yeah,
That's
maybe
what I
it's
want.
what they need.
You want a bit of a kick up the arse, yeah.
Yeah, and if that is the case, maybe him and Andy Reid wouldn't be a bad duo. My opinion on it is I have a feeling he goes. To be honest, right now that's my take. Maybe that's too early. I think it probably is, but I think the owner, from what I kind of know a little bit, is he goes off the fans' feeling a lot of the time. So I think, as you guys said, he was close to getting rid of Cooper a couple of times, but I think the fans obviously love Cooper, and that's probably why he changed his mind last minute, potentially. But I think obviously the fans aren't on board with Sean Dyche, are they? Especially now after that result. So I think he'll be tempted tonight or tomorrow. I really do. That's my take. Whether that's right or not, I think Sean Dyche could leave. But the funny thing is, like you say, Matt, you funnily enough back Forest under Dyche to get something against Liverpool next week at home. I do. That's the funny thing about it. And even Brighton away probably suits Forest quite well under Sean Dyche the game after that. So I don't know. I don't have the answers either. It's a tough one. But I would say careful if you do sack Sean Dyche, because I don't think you should go and get a tactician. A tactician's not going to, come in. It's just not the right time for a tactician. If you're going to get rid of Sean Dyche, you need someone like Chris has just said there, probably, that gives the players kick up the arse and somehow churns up 3 or 4 results. So it's a tough one, Matt.
Yeah. Well, see how it develops. I'll see how it develops. I don't know. I don't know who the names are, to be honest, who would take it as well. I mean, let's say, do you feel like we're going down, Chris? Really? Now, what percentage are you putting on it?
Like, my heart for weeks, every single time I've watched every game, I'm messaging people who are close to me saying, we're gone, because I'm just so angry and upset and exhausted by the season, and because, I'm a skeptic at heart because I'm a Forest fan. But if I'm to try and neutralize that idiot inside my head and just say, what are the chances? I think we're not far off 50-50. And I know that we have 3 points on West Ham, but they have a pretty handy game next. Bournemouth at home.
They've got Bournemouth at home. We've got Liverpool at home.
We've got Liverpool at home, right? So I think it like at some stage it feels like it will go level. But I suppose what I've been saying to you and everyone is, like, if we can just forget West Ham, forget Leeds, forget Palace, forget Spurs, forget all of those teams, and just focus on, right, we know we have to get to 40 points, so we know that that's probably 4 more wins, and we know that will probably do it. If we can just focus on that and just try and get the wins where we can, and look back at the stupid points against Palace and today and go, right, well, they all added up to that 40. Maybe we can survive. I really think that the Europe is going to be a good distraction for this team next week, and I think that that'll G the players up. But if we can go to Fenerbahce, a bit of a cauldron, and then come back to the City Ground and play Liverpool, and then play that home game, and then play away at Brighton, I think it might be good for us. And that might give us a bit of momentum, actually, funnily enough. But yeah, do I think we're going down? 50-50. 50-50. And it's in our own hands. We can't rely on West Ham anymore. It's 50-50, and it's down to the players. Can they pull out those big performances that they have done at some points in the season, the Spurs, the Liverpool game? Can they get lucky in like a West Ham 2-1 win that we should never have won? Can we get those rubs of the green? I have to believe we can. So I'm going to say today we're going to survive.
I don't know. We were so lucky to beat West Ham. But then we played all right v Arsenal, and we played all right v Brentford. I know people disagree about that. And we played all right v Palace, but I don't know. It feels pretty grim. I think as well, Sam, not having a game at the weekend's a problem for him, because now the next game's Fenerbahce, which I think we might get battered in, to be honest. The players wilted massively at Ellen Road. They're going into an absolute cauldron. So I'll see if they can stand up or not. I don't know.
We'll win that.
We'll win.
We'll go to Fenerbahce and we'll play well. The pressure's off. Players are focused on the league, and we can go in there and we can get a result. And then we can bring them back to our place, and then it will be rocking because the pressure's off. We're not thinking about the league anymore. I think we can beat Fenerbahce. I think we're better than Fenerbahce. I do. I think we are, and I think we can go and beat them. And I think the players will believe that too, and they'll go in with the pressure off their backs. As long as Dyche doesn't throw out a second 11 because he wants to focus on the league. Europe is still important. I think we can win that, and I think we can win the following game, yeah. I'm not just dreaming here. We're better than Fenerbahce. We are.
I think he's got to field a second 11 because we're travelling to Turkey and then coming back to play Liverpool 3 days later. I don't know. No. What do you reckon, Sam, on anything we've just discussed?
I think I'll cover the 3 points. I agree. I think the 50-50 to go down. I had it nowhere near that about a week or two ago. as I said on this thing, I thought Leeds would be the team that maybe go down. I knew West Ham would have a bit of a resurgence, which they have. I think it's probably between us and West Ham now. Leeds have picked up 4 brilliant points for them in the last week. So I think I agree with Chris. I think we're somewhere in the middle between us and West Ham at the moment. That's where I stand on it. You never know. Spurs could get dragged in. I just can't see it. I struggle to see it, but you never know. Palace starting to pick up some points again now as well. Now I think. With regards to Fenerbahce, I think I agree with Chris. I think you make a good point, Matt. Is only 3 days later, but I think that's a really important game now, and I think it's a game where you can take your minds off Premier League a little bit in a weird way. And listen, it is going to be a tough place to go, but Forest should try, if they can, to have that mentality of no pressure and go out and I don't know. It's just something different, isn't it? Something different. Chris said earlier he's getting tired of it. So am I. Relegation battles year after year, other than last season. So it's just something different mentally, and I agree. I think we can go there and get something. And then suddenly the City ground's rocking for the second leg. And then what was I think the third point was I'm trying to think of the third point. See, I think we can beat Fenerbahce, and I think I would be fielding a strong team. Yeah, I think it's an important game. I'd only make 1 or 2 changes to the best 11.
I don't know if I put a percentage on it. You see, I feel worse than you chaps. I think it's 60-40 might even feel generous. I don't know. I watched West Ham and I watched them last night. They can't defend. I don't think they'll keep clean sheets. But Bowen was brilliant last night. Bowen was playing like a man possessed. Somerville's playing with a lot of confidence. And he is direct and dangerous, which our wingers don't look.
Yeah.
The striker up front's decent as well.
Yeah, that's the difference, Matt, I think. That's the difference between... I think we've got a better defence. So you can rely on Forest to be harder to break down and, I suppose, more structured, but I think they've got individuals in their attack that can win them games. I think we haven't really got someone like a Bowen that you can grab a game by the scruff of the neck and score a goal, or a Somerville. The new striker looks good, like you say. Yeah, I think they've got more match winners in their side in the attacking areas, and I think we're probably stronger defensively. So I think it is a flip of a coin right now between us and them.
Do you think, Sam, the players will Marinakis listen to the players, and if the players say we don't rate the manager, is that curtains for Dyche, or does he go off that at all? I don't know if you've got any.
I don't know. I mean, I think from Yates's podcast, to be fair, so it's no leaked news or anything from me. I'm pretty sure Marinakis speaks to the players after every game, doesn't he? I think he pulls Yatesy and a couple of others after most home games, and as a quick chat with them. So that no doubt will happen today, unless he has rushed off, as he sometimes can do. But I don't think you'd have the players saying to the owner, sure, you'd like to think not, but you never know, saying we're not having this manager, you need to sack him. But I think surely he'll be able to gauge off them how they're feeling. And you get the impression, I don't know, it's a big thing to say they're not all in for him, but I sometimes just think, are they playing at the tempo that he'll be asking for? Are they doing everything I don't know. It's hard to say if they are on board with him or not, Matt, because I don't really know what he's asking them to do. This is the issue. If I knew what Sean Dyche's game plan was to do in possession, then I could say whether the players are all out for him or not. I don't know. But I'd struggle to think there's players in there that are happy with how things are right now. I'll put it like that. Under him, in my opinion.
There's 2 shows in a row, Chris, that pros, one current, one ex, have said I can't see what the game plan is. That's not good, is it?
No, it's awful, and I only kind of go by results because my eyes don't see further than that. Like I can see patterns of play, and I understand the basic level knowledge of football from playing at a very low level and then watching it my whole life. But when you have people like Sam and Kelvin coming on the podcast who are professionals, it's like, yeah, you kind of worry because Sam and Calv are probably kind of Forest fans, so they're hoping for the best. So they want to get on, but they can't help but say they can't see the game plan. And that makes me worry even more. The performances have been awful since, pre-Christmas as well. They haven't been great. There's been 1 or 2 really good ones. And I've backed Dyche the whole way because it's all about the results for me. And tonight just wasn't a good enough result. But in terms of patterns of play and trying, it's just we don't score enough goals. And how are we going to be able to be inspiring enough to do that? Is it going to be one of these £30 million players who's going to do that for us? And Ndoye, McAtee, is back, we're going to show up ever? Or is Hutchinson suddenly going to get his form that he got at the beginning with Dyche? And these are all players that cost a lot of money. Are some of the recruitment players like Luca, is he going to score some goals for us? I don't know. But it has to be one or the other. We have to get some inspiration from somewhere. Or our coach, our manager, has to coach this side to try and carve out really good chances and put pressure on teams. Even Man United yesterday, I was watching the end of that game. I didn't watch most of it. At the very end, I thought they were bereft of ideas, but they just kept plugging away. Sesko comes in and obviously he scores a very good goal, but, Carrick had an idea of how he wanted to break down the West Ham team, and eventually he would put pressure on them, and eventually they got their goal. And we just don't look like we'll ever do that against teams. So, yeah, it's not good. And it's not good that two professionals come on this podcast and said the same thing. And it leaves people like me and other fans who are just sort of emotional watchers in the wings, just hoping for the best.
Quick word for the Trent now. Excuse me. Fenerbahce, as Chris mentioned, is the next game. It is televised, so if you're not watching it in Istanbul, do head down to the Nav. Free pint of Managerial, you have to pay for the other 10 you might need at this rate. But if you get there before 5:30, Pizza Kitchen and Barbecue is on offer, and you can watch it over the road as well, or in the big shed. You do need to book over the road, and do check it out because it is a great venue, I promise, as is the Nav, of course. So thanks as ever to those guys who keep this podcast going so people can sit here and wallow in misery. There's 1,230 people doing that. Do hit like before you go. How do you miss a 5-on-1, Sam? What happened there?
What's that, sorry?
How do you miss a 6-on-1? I think it might have been.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think Gibbs White wanted the pass in front of the defender, didn't he? Because he'd ran kind of alongside Hudson-Odoi. So he wanted the pass in front. Hudson-Odoi didn't probably fancy that on his left foot. So I get why he's played it behind the defender. And I think Lucas just got him slow himself down. You'd want a striker in that situation to slow himself down a little bit and be composed. It's a bad miss. It's not the best of passes from Hudson-Odoi, but it's not, he should still score. But yeah, I thought that was a certain goal. But there was moments like that in the whole game, really. I think there's even one towards the end where Gibbs White, it's 2v2, I think, and he gets the pass wrong, and it's not like him to do that. To Luca, I think it was. So yeah, there was 2 or 3 moments where you think, surely it's got to be a goal now. Even Gibbs White laid it off to Hutchinson inside the box where you think he can shoot. And all Hutchinson had to do was pass it back inside, and it's a goal for Gibbs White. So yeah, I don't know. It summed it up really, Matt. We just didn't like scoring. I think we could have been out there for a whole other hour and probably wouldn't have scored. But yeah, I think that's probably Luca's fault, to be fair, even though, as I said, I felt a bit bad for him tonight. But saying that, Chris is right. I think watching the game back, you'd probably pick out 4 or 5 moments where Lucas got to be inside the 6-yard box, and he wasn't. Those balls had got flashed across, and he was nowhere to be seen. So maybe he needs to understand that a bit more. But I think mainly his service for him tonight wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah, there were loads of instances, Chris, weren't there? Like, I mean, Hudson-Odoi was sort of bright for 30 minutes, but his shooting was appalling. Morgan's shot selection, or he passed it when he shouldn't have done. Milenkovic probably could have scored that chance at the back post where he kind of tries to chest it in and can't reach it. That's the place where I have some sympathy with Dyche, because one of those chances has got to go in, and then we just win the game, surely, if we get 1 goal.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, of course we do. I mean, I suppose that what typifies the whole thing for me, in terms of my thing, which is it's players' fault first half, Dyche fault second half. But what typifies it for me first half specifically was Gibbs White had a header as well. Great ball from Anderson. Missed the target. Knows he should have got it on target. Just make the keeper work. Puts it wide. I saw what he was trying to do. Near post header. Score the goal. He knew himself. He smiled at the Wolves fans thinking, gosh, I nearly had that. That was a bad miss. There was a moment, that ain't a ball first half, where Luca gets his head to it, doesn't do anything. The commentator said it's slightly behind him. It wasn't slightly behind him. He should have got his head on that. He's 6'7". He's in the right area. It's a great ball from Mena. And then, that chance from Luca that Tam was talking about there, he has to do better there. Like, even take a touch. There's no one around you. There's one defender of 4 Forest players. Take a touch, smash it in the back of the net. You could take a touch and pass it around and put it in the back of the net if you want. Take a touch. If it's slightly behind you, take a touch. Even I'd have done that, and I was a terrible centre back in my day. So I just the amount of chances we missed that first half typifies it for me, the approach, because you're watching chance after chance after chance get missed. Player after player going down the byline, Anderson playing 1-2s, neat 1-2s, and the ball kept getting cut back, or because the players didn't see Luca make that move that Chris Wood normally would. And that's where I was kind of like, we just look so lacking in our clinical finishing. We don't have any of it. That chance you're talking about with Milenkovic as well just kind of bounces through 3 players, and you're kind of like, what? Like, is anyone going to just try and get this. And then at the end of the game, we're relying on a right back and a centre back taking pot shots from distance. So that's the biggest problem we have, is being confident in front of goal. And actually, the crazy thing is, we're more confident when Jesus comes on, who's only scored two Premier League goals, but we're all thinking, well, at least he'll try and link the play up and maybe create something for someone else. But yeah, Callum's finishing, just to go back to that, sorry, I went off on a tangent there, Matt, and I promise I won't do it again. Callum's finishing was awful today. He cut in 3 or 4 times. First 5 minutes, I think he cut in and put it just wide. It was his best effort, but it was just wide. It was decent effort. Other than that, like, just rolled into the keeper's gloves, and we're just, every single player, every one of them up front is missing that clinical edge, all of them. And they all had big chances today. Luca, Callum, Gibbs-White, all of them. And they just couldn't put it to bed.
I suppose normally in this situation, Sam, a team would, okay, open play is not happening. We'll go to set pieces. One of these will head in. We did create the odd moment, like Morato's one. I thought he should have put his foot through it, and then Milenkovic one. But in general, our set piece execution, I think I wrote abysmal again in my notes. I feel for Amari, but putting 2 into the front side netting is pretty unforgivable, isn't it, at that level?
It's a hard skill to do that, I think. I think it's hard to get it wrong twice in the space of 3 minutes. But yeah, I'm a fan of Hutchinson. I think he'll come good in a Forest shirt. I do, if he's given time and chances. But I thought tonight was a really poor night for him, and I think it probably summed up his night, that did. He just looked devoid of confidence towards the end as well. Just, yeah, like I say, Matt, it's not been great anyway, has it, this season, really? It's something that you'd think, again, under Sean Dyche, you're known for them kind of small details. And no, it's not his fault. He can't put the delivery in and get someone to head it from 10 yards out, whatever. But it's not been great all season, and it was poor again tonight. And like I say, in the games where low blocks are really frustrating you and you just can't seem to score those good chances, set pieces come in handy. And Forest struggle with them tonight. On a tangent, I'll follow Chris up and go on a little tangent myself. I still can't believe we finished a game with 2 sixes and 1 striker. Half an hour later, I'm still baffled by it. I just think I don't get it. I don't get it when the ball was in their half all the second half pretty much. You need another striker on. If you're going to keep on crossing the ball, you can't just have 1 striker on the pitch against their 2 or 3 defenders that were just staying within the whole game. Whether it was Jesus when he came on as well. Sangare's been really good recently, but I didn't see the point of him being on. I don't get it because you had Dominguez on, you had on the bench, you had McAtee, Taiwo. I just find that so baffling. I'd love to know why Sean Dyche did that, because staying with the 2 sixes and 1 player up front who was isolated all game, I find that so baffling.
Yeah, well, that was the other. When I said that's where I have sympathy with Dyche to start with, is missing chances. But a manager's job, like Daniel Farker, who I don't think is a particularly great manager, but yesterday they were 2-0 down, and he took a centre half off and put a striker on. And by hook or by crook, they should have lost the game. But they got back to 2-2 out of nowhere and got a point. I mean, surely, like Amari's having a bad night, put McAtee on just to try and open them up a little bit. Put Taiwo on alongside Jesus and take Sangare off. I mean, it's not revolutionary stuff, but this is Premier League football, Chris. And so many times we criticised Dyche's substitutions, and they feel obvious. And I don't know. That's where I think I've often said. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent myself. I've often said sack him when the risk of relegation feels worse than keeping him, and it does feel worse than keeping him now. So I suppose I'm saying he's got to go, but then you go back to who comes in. But anyway, sorry, I went off on my own tangent. Just on the subs, what did you make of it?
You've talked yourself into it, Matt.
I might talk myself out of it tomorrow. I'm a bit like Donald Trump. I'll listen to the last person I heard too much. Sorry,
you've talked yourself into it, and I've kind of talked myself out of it. I just don't know if we have, I don't think it's worth that risk, or maybe it is. Who knows? No one knows. The comments don't know. We don't know. But on your point about the subs, yeah, like I saw McAtee warming up with like 15 to go, and it's kind of like, get him on the pitch, like get someone on the pitch who's going to get on the ball and make something happen, because the players on the pitch so far haven't been able to do that. Gibbs-White is one of those players. Obviously, he did his best. He had a nice little knockdown header for Nico for that chance you're talking about with Morato. That was from Gibbs-White. He's got a bit of desire, but when it's not working for any of them, get someone on the pitch who can make something happen. You're right. Get Taiwo on, sling him in there. Stick him up top with Jesus. Just sling long balls at the 2 of them. Let them take them down and cause some chaos. But McAtee should have been on that pitch, because he's one of those players that can unlock a defense, and we know that. And he's started to get his confidence back after, a good European game there recently. So obviously you get him on the pitch. And Sam there saying, I didn't even think about that. Like 2-6 is still on the pitch and we're trying to win a game. That is Dyche's fault, that second half, because you have to go after that game. You have to say, we need to win this game. This is going to be our best chance to get 3 points at home all season. We have to go after it. And he didn't. He did the like-for-like sub. So that second half, it is criminal. And yeah, McAtee should have been on the pitch, and everyone knows it. And if fans know it, and Sam knows it, and Kelv knows it, and everyone in every podcast knows it, how can he not see it? It's not like they're carrying knocks or injuries or anything like that. The Hudson-Odoi one, if he explained that away with an injury, maybe Hudson-Odoi said something from halftime, maybe you'd understand. But the other stuff is just not good enough. And just to wind back a little bit, the set pieces, I mean, God, set pieces. Like, we have corners and the crowd's excited, but in my head I'm going, nothing's going to happen because we never score from them. Even the free kick set pieces, they're pathetic. We need to get better balls in the box. It's pathetic, and they need to be worked on in training. And that is down to the manager as well. Even if the players aren't doing it right on the day, we need to get them sorted. So yeah, it is on Dyche.
I'll go back to my Dyche thinking out loud thing as well. Part of my thinking that he might need to go is that the players aren't really having him, but I don't really know the answer to that. If the players are behind him, and that's Marinakis gets that vibe from the dressing room, then it's probably easier to stick with him. But if he's lost the proverbial dressing room, then I don't know. It feels pretty difficult. Is Dan Ndoye a player that's going to change a game, Sam? I quite like Dan, but he hasn't made the impact that you want when he comes off time again. But Dyche keeps bringing him on.
Yeah, in hindsight, no, he's not, is he? Because he didn't do much again today. I don't think. But like you said, it's a like-for-like substitution, and that's kind of what he was going with today. I don't know. It makes me frustrated, to be honest, because McAtee, like Chris has said, he finally gets a bit of confidence, and you just leave him on the bench in a game like this today where you need to play like him. Even a Yatesy, like, I'm not saying that's number one option for me, but someone with a bit of energy and someone that wants to get into the box and try and score a goal, just something. You had to do something. It was too passive second half. We were creating chances, but none of them were, clear cut, and the tempo just wasn't high enough for me. We could have ran them off the pitch today. I really do believe that. They look so low on confidence, I should expect. And whether it's Ndoye or whether it should have been a McAtee or Tyler, there's so many things he could have done, Matt. And that's not just in hindsight, you're saying that. After 55, 60 minutes, everyone's thinking that. I'm sure they are at the ground, get two up front, take a winger or two off. The wingers haven't been very good, just anything. And I think going back to what Chris said, it's a good point. There's no attacker right now in that squad other than a Gibbs White, really, who you can say, yeah, I back him to be clinical today and have a good game in general, just to have a good game and impact the game. We know Hudson-Odoi can do it, but not really as of late. And none of those strikers or wingers at the moment fill you with much confidence that they're going to win Forest's game. Like we've said with Bowen and Somerville, they do for West Ham. That's what they do at the moment. That's what they're doing. They fill West Ham fans, I'm sure, with a lot of hope because you can expect them to get a goal or assist or just have a moment of magic. Whereas Forest, that's not happening, whether it's Ndoye or Hudson-Odoi or Hutchinson. No one's really doing that from the wide areas, especially for Forest at the moment. So that's a big concern.
Let's just take a quick word of thanks as well for Vesta Blinds. No, that's not it at all. That's Six Nations Rugby. If you want to watch, okay, hang on. If you want to watch Six Nations Rugby at the Trent Nav, then do that. When's the next game? The 14th, Scotland v England. Lovely Valentine's Day affair. Do check that out. Also, thanks very much to Vesta Blinds. Made to measure superior blinds and shutters across Nottinghamshire. Scan the QR code if you're watching on your phones or at home, or click the link in the description, and do follow them on Facebook and Instagram. It's Vesta Blinds UK on Instagram, just Vesta Blinds on Facebook. Chris, sort of final thoughts, or I don't know, anything you want to add? Any, I don't know, desperate words of despair? Desperate words of despair is a terrible phrase. I can't edit this. Carry on, Chris.
What really grinds my gears is that we haven't won a home Premier League game since the Spurs game you and I were at, Matt. That was well before Christmas. It feels like ages ago. So we haven't won a home Premier League game since then. We've given nothing other than the European home games fans to shout about since then. Right? We've gone and lost to Wrexham in the FA Cup. We've, I don't really care about that, but it's still a thing. We had that terrible performance away at Braga. We had the 4 losses in a row over Christmas. And then in the home games, against Palace and Wolves, where we probably looked at this February and thought, right, that we can get something from those games. We got a point in each, which is pathetic, because both teams are on their arse. I am just like, now I'm not, I don't think I'm 50-50 anymore. I think we're definitely the underdogs in this race, because we play Liverpool and next and Brighton away. And I know we say, oh, well, Dyche will probably set up well against them. Who knows? Those teams are better than us right now. Brighton are in a bit of a scrap. They're not doing great themselves, but they're better than us. They'll nail us on for a win. Liverpool are better than us. They're in the top 5. They have better players. Like, these teams are better than us. So I don't know what's going to happen in those games. So those are my desperate words of despair so far. But I just really, really hope these players can pull it out, because the fans have been unbelievable this season. Even today, you saw at the beginning, like, they were singing their hearts out, Mulligan Tower, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, this is a game against Wolves that we should win, and the fans are still giving it everything they can. And we have. And the away fans gone to Europe, and like, I've been to a couple of European games, one away in a fan zone in Utrecht, and I'm in Ireland. I'm not saying I'm doing it all, but season tickets like holders and people who've gone to every away game, I can't even imagine how they feel. And they've done everything and given everything to this club, and they're not giving enough back. And the players need to step up. Dyche needs to step up, and he just needs to get those wins now. And like, I want us to go and beat Fenerbahce away. I want us to get a result against Liverpool at home, and I want us to beat Fenerbahce in the home game and come back and give a performance against Brighton, because the fixtures are running out. And if West Ham keep going the way they are, they'll be clear of us by some way, even though they're 3 points behind now. So we need these players need to stand up to be counted, or they will go down as a failure of a team. So they need to step the hell up now, right now, because otherwise, we're going to be stuck and we're going to go down, and it's going to be shocking. Last thing I say is, it could all turn around. A month ago, 7 points clear of West Ham. West Ham, where fans were coming out saying they were down and out, and then all of a sudden they turned it around. So it is possible. We just need the players and the manager, whoever that will be in the future, or if it's still Dyche to the end, to step up now.
I might clip that up. I'm sort of hedging my bets here, Sam, in case he's sacked tonight. What would you make of it if he is sacked, Sam?
Wouldn't be surprised, even though it's 4 managers in the season, which is crazy. Wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I think I'd be a bit disappointed, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think it's probably on the cards after that. I do. That's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. Especially with reports recently saying that could happen if it's a poor result tonight. But I just struggle to see, like Chris said, where do you go from there? That's my issue. I'm probably more saying Dyche in just because I don't know what Forest can do. And it's all well and good throwing these names, but a lot of them are unrealistic. I think in Marinakis' ideal world, he'd want to get someone like a De Zerbi or a Marco Silva in the summer. But I don't see either of those two for sure saying yes right now. So I don't think they're options. I would hang on and say, come on, we need more from you and the players to the manager. That's what I'll be saying. But I wouldn't be surprised if it happens tonight or tomorrow, like I've said before. I just think in general, though, I think tonight tells you that it's going to be a battle right to the end. And Forest, Chris is right, things can change, but I see this going right to the end now. And I think Forest are well in it. Before I probably thought, yeah, but I think we'll be okay. Now I really do worry that Forest could be in the Championship next season after that. And I just can't really believe it after last season. I know things weren't going to be as good as last season. I get that, especially how pre-season was and summer was, all of the things behind the scenes with Nuno and stuff. But Forest to be where they are with all the money they spent in the summer as well on, what players look like attacking good talent at the time, and players like Douglas Luiz and Zinchenko, who I know I'm blabbing on it, but I know certain fans weren't happy with those, but they're good signings on paper, aren't they? I just can't believe where Forest are now. It's crazy. But this is the situation we've put ourselves in. So we've got to get ourselves out of it. And I think we can, but I think I'm much more worried after tonight, because that's a big one gone there. You've got to beat Wolves at home. It's a non-negotiable. I bet, I'd love to see the stats. I bet probably 85% of teams that have played against them have beat them at home, if not more. So it's a tough one tonight, and I'm really concerned and disappointed with where Forest are right now.
Yeah, I can't see them winning another game if they play like that. No. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll play better in other games, but individually in this game, I'm struggling to think of a worse Premier League team we played and we've not beat them. I think if we do sack him, it's a recognition of total failure, starting from the very top of the football club, what the cluster this season's been. And if we do sack him, it's a recognition of total desperation as well, because you're only sacking him because you feel like you're so screwed, you've got to do something, but you don't really know. Unless they've got someone lined up who's good, it feels like you know, basically praying that something happens and you find a bounce and win 2 or 3 games. But I don't know. If there's a good manager out there, then I'm all for it. But if there's not, and you just punting, then I don't know. It feels like we're pretty screwed either way at the moment. And you just, like Sam says, you've just got to find more from within, or you know, find more from somewhere, because this is just not good enough. It's an absolutely abject failure, and it's depressing. And it is annoying, but I've almost gone past annoyance tonight. I don't know. It's just depressing and sad and slightly worrying personally as well. So yeah, grim. Chris, anything you want to add? There's still 1,400 people with us, but we will wrap up soon.
Yeah, just like that thing you said there, depressing. The worst thing about it is I'm usually like a bag of nerves watching a game. If anyone watches a game with me, they know that I'm just like an absolute shambles of a human being. And in every Premier League game that we've been in, every season, I've been like that. And towards the end today, I stopped being nervous because I was just so apathetic about it all, just so despairing and annoyed and angry and just like, oh God, what's the point here, you know? And that is the worst when you get that. West Ham fans were like that about a month ago. That's the crazy thing. They weren't even going to the games. They were talking about how their club's a disgrace, and now all of a sudden they're behind their team again and saying how amazing it is and how they think they can survive. So things can change quick. But there's a couple of things I suppose that I would point out. Is number one is, you know, it's just try and get to that 40-point mark. We have a few tough fixtures now. We have to try and pull out some magic out of the hat and try and beat a Villa at home or a Liverpool at home, or get a win against Brighton away or something. And the last thing I'd say is, like, West Ham have Leeds in the last game of the season. So we need Leeds to still be in this by the end of the season, because if Leeds are safe by then, West Ham will roll them over. Because you know West Ham are going to beat Wolves. They'll get the 3 points there. Every team is going to beat Wolves to the end of the season that needs to. That's just the way life works. So you just hope that Leeds can stay in it long enough to make that game important on the last day of the season. And the only way to keep them in long enough is for us to do our job and try and get some results somewhere. And I really, really hope that the players can find it in themselves to get 4 more wins and keep this team up, and then we don't have to go through any more relegation battles, because I'm fed up with them.
Well, West Ham's rock bottom was losing 3-0 at Wolves, and then they seemed to kick themselves into life. Partly they did that by signing good players in January. I don't know if we have or not, but Tati Castellanos looks decent. Dizazi's probably decent. Yeah, and then they got a few. Nuno struck on something, and I don't know if Dyche has struck on anything. So
what was, sorry to interrupt, what a failure that window was, by the way. Getting rid of Calamundo day one, not having a replacement striker lined up, you know, knowing that if you lose one centre back, your backup you're not really confident in, so you don't sign a backup defender. Oh yeah, we thought we were getting Lewis Dunk. We should have tried and find any other defender to be our third choice centre back in case this happened. And I know people will say, oh yeah, but you couldn't use him in Europe. Yeah, but we could have used him in the Premier League. So it's just like, it was just an absolute failure all around. And with the failure that was the summer, because in reality those players haven't stepped up. I'm sure there's talent amongst those players that we signed for 30 million. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. We're just waiting to find it. But with the failure that was the summer, surely the January window, you think, right, we've got to get this together because we could be going down here. We've got to get ourselves together, and we've got Europe, a playoff to go to eventually, and try and go further than that. And we didn't. And that really, really bugs me. The recruitment from top to bottom has been an absolute joke as well. So, yeah. And the fact that West Ham started a drive early on and Leeds even picked up a couple of players, it just makes it even worse. So, yeah. Just so I want to touch on that at the back end here.
I suppose if Lucas slides in that 5-on-1 chance and he's got 2-2, we might view it differently, but these margins that they're going to decide everything. I just found out Mark Walton. Fine margins. Like Man U could have easily lost that game last night. They get a goal. Yep. Palmer misses an absolute sitter. Leeds should have lost that game. Milenkovic or anyone turn in those balls in the box and we win. But then, as we said, Sean Dyche has got to do more in the second half as well. Sam, final words to you before we go.
Yeah, I think touching on January window quickly as well, I completely agree. I think it's bizarre that you're going after Lewis Dunk, which has been well documented, and didn't get him, and then just leave it there. Centre backs, I thought it was probably the most important position to go for, because Murillo has been quite injury prone recently, and Morata isn't filled with much confidence. I'm not sure who the fourth choice is right now, really. So really shocked about that, because you've made it well it's, everyone's well aware that Forest wanted someone like Lewis Dunk, so to not get him and then just leave it there is weird. And even the striker situation, I know we've got Luca in, but to go from Mateta for a big price to really want him and to be really interested, and then to miss out on that one, and then you leave it there again. So you're basically saying you want a centre half to come in and compete to start, and you want a striker to come in and start, and you've got neither of them. I think that's really weird, and then just leave it there. So yeah, I think the summer and January windows have been very disappointing, if you ask me. And I just think, again, just to say, Matt, I just think tonight's a big worry, and I think it's a sign that Forest are going to be right in it till the last game of the season, and hope we're on the right side of it. But we've got to be winning games like tonight, otherwise you're asking for trouble. But one last quick thing, I think I saw on Twitter, which is quite interesting. It might mean nothing, but I think that's the first game that Wone and Stone, the two assistants, weren't seen, side by side to Sean Dyche. Whether that's something Marinakis has said, I don't know, but I think that is something worth looking into. That is quite weird to me. I think that's the first game where they haven't been up with him. Whether that's something he's asked for.
That.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter just now, and if it is true, then that's very interesting, because they normally always buy him, aren't they, for about 80 minutes of the game. So whether that's something Marinakis has said to them or Sean Dyche, but I thought that's an interesting point to finish.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. We shall end it there. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, where we'll probably have the same sort of conversation. I might have changed my mind. I don't know, because I don't have any clue what the answers are. But if you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, hit subscribe, consider membership or Patreon, or a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify would be lovely. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Sam. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. I really don't know what to say at the end of this. Let's all hope and pray. It's going to be fine. Last game against Bournemouth. That's what I was going to say. There's an inspiring note to end things on. Right. Thanks, everyone. Chris, you look like you were going to say something. I don't know.
Just hang on. Roller coaster to the end. As Sam said, he thinks it'll go to the last day. I hope it goes to the last day, because if it doesn't, we'll be gone by then. So I hope it goes to the last day, and maybe we beat Bournemouth for once and stay up. But yeah, there's nothing really more to say other than tonight was an absolute shocking result. Doesn't matter how you cut it, and you just have to hope, because it's the hope that kills you. The funny thing is, I can't believe after what's happened in the last few weeks, we're actually still 3 points clear. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, Bournemouth owe us 1 or 2 or 3 goals. Right. Thanks very much, everyone. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow, but if not, hopefully we shall see you soon.